Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Gatobu, and in this video I'll be reviewing the books that I read in the year 2021. They total to 15 books, and so hopefully you will feel inspired to read one of the books or even start a reading culture if you're not used to reading books, which I would really recommend because it's very healthy for your mind, for your brain, and so on and so forth. So I normally read using my Kindle, and last year I haven't read any physical book other than the Bible. So I won't have any physical books to show off, but I'll just say out the title of the names and a short review of how I found the book. So in January I read The Haunting of H.G. Wells by Robert Marcello. This is a fictional book. I'd say a historical fiction because it is based in during the World War. It wasn't clear whether it was World War One or World War Two, but it was based during that time, and it's actually based off of true stories with a little bit of twist to it, and there's a hint of supernatural happening in the book. The main character is a writer, and he's married and goes into war and kind of falls into something like a romantic relationship with this other young writer that he meets or along the way. That's she basically looks up to him because he's one of the very well-known writers at that time. So it's a very interesting book, being one of the first books because I actually started reading in 2020 or rekindled my reading culture in 2020. So it was among the first few books that I came across. So it was very interesting. I could hardly put it down. So yeah, that's The Haunting of H.G. Wells. In February I read Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. She's a Nigerian author, and she's very inspiring because she's very outspoken on matters concerning Africans and basically Pan-Africanism, and basically bringing Africa back to its actual glory. And so back to the book, Americana was very relatable because it's based upon the story of a girl who goes to America to study and eventually starts her life there. And it's in the book she goes back and forth remembering her life back in Nigeria, and there's a lot of comparisons, including one of the major ones I remembered was the struggles of having to go get your hair done as a black woman in America, and compared to the struggles I've also undergone. It's very real because I have learned to take care of my own hair to the point of learning how to braid my own hair, because it's either very expensive to get your hair done, or it's very hard to find the right person to do your hair. So that I really related with. So it's a book I generally related with a lot, being that I recently moved to the States. So it was a very interesting book and very hi, say hi to my cat Nuru. Anyways, so it's a very relatable book and very interesting, very captivating. In March I read Bridgerton, The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. I read it soon after I finished watching the Netflix show by Shonda Rhimes, Bridgerton. So the movie, or rather the show, is based upon the book. So the actual book is a 8-series sequel. The Bridgerton, The Duke and I is the first of the 8 books, and each of the book is based off of the 8 Bridgerton siblings. And the first one is The Duke and I. So it was very interesting. I'd say the book was more interesting to read than watching the actual show. There was some parts I felt as if they were not included in the show that were in the actual book. So that weren't included in the actual book. So um, but either way, I think they were, both the show and the book were very, very good. The second book I read in March was Master Your Emotions by this author. I'm afraid to completely mispronounce the name, but it's a self-help book that helps you learn how to control your emotions and basically just be emotionally intelligent. So one of the takeaways I took away from the book was emotions are there to guide you. Don't hold on to them as if your life depends on it. So just figure out what your emotion is trying to tell you, what it's trying to communicate, and learn from emotions. Basically let them guide you. In April, I read The 5 a.m. Revolution by Dan Luca, and it's also a self-help book, which is supposedly to help you, which is supposed to help you become a morning person. And so in the book, there is these step-by-step guidelines to help you in giving you a guide in changing your night routine to help you better in waking up in the mornings. So there's also a guide to what you could possibly change your morning routine into. So I'd say if you're looking into being a morning person, then you can definitely check out the 5 a.m. Revolution. So in May, I read The Year of Yes, teaching you how to dance it out, stand in the sun, and be your own person, which is authored by Shonda Rhimes. And this is another very inspiring woman. She's one of the biggest TV show producers that we know of our time. Currently, she is the person behind Shondaland, which is behind several great Netflix shows. Some of them being, the most recent one being Inventing Anna, Grey's Anatomy, How to Get Away with Murder, and there's this other TV show that I'm forgetting. I'll list them down here just so I don't remember all of them, but she's the person behind all those TV shows, and reading this book made me know her a little bit better. And basically the book, it's more of an essay because it's based upon her experience throughout life. And it's the book is, as the title suggests, A Year of Yes. It's based upon her journey towards being more confident and agreeing to take more risks and saying yes to more things that she would normally do. So basically it's just the act of saying yes to things that you would normally not do would ideally open a whole new world to you, as she explains in the book through her experiences. So I'd really recommend this book as well if you are more of an introvert, and yeah, you should check this book out. You definitely should. In June, I read The New Science of Narcissism by W. Keith Campbell. Basically explains what narcissism is. I felt the need to read such a book because there was a lot of, I felt like there was a lot of misuse of the word narcissism, or rather people calling other people narcissists, and I was intrigued to really know what an actual narcissist would look like or would really be, because especially on the internet there will be, or even just basically, if anybody, I felt as if people were nowadays are more into using the word narcissist as an insult and not really know what an actual narcissist would look like. So I don't want to be one of those people that are just throwing out the word narcissist or narcissism out there without really knowing what I'm talking about, or at least having an idea of what I'm talking about. So if you're one of those people, you should definitely look out, read the book, though I'd say it's very sciencey, in the meaning that there's a bit of too much scientific text into it. So if you're not really into the into details of studies and researches and whatnot, it wouldn't be the exact book for you, but it also would be a stepping stone into kind of understanding what narcissism and narcissists would behave, or what they look like, not like physically, but based upon their behaviors. And it also includes a test for you to show you or tell you if you have narcissistic tendencies as well. So that's a book you could also check out if you are interested in such stuff. In July, I read A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, and this book is mind blowing. It's a bit heavy on the words, and I'd have to read a sentence once or twice just to make sure that I understood what the author was trying to pass across. But by the end of the book, you would just have a whole new understanding of spirituality and just yourself, because it touches on being aware of your ego. So it's more of a spiritual book and less of religious. So if you don't know the difference between those two, you definitely should look more into it. And it speaks out a lot of truths that we know of but we are not aware of, because a lot of the things discussed in the book, it eventually clicks and you're like, yes, that makes sense. So it's a book that will definitely resonate with you, and as I said, at the end of it, it could be one of the biggest books. It could be one of the books that actually changes your life. This is one of those books that could actually change your life. So I really recommend each and every one of us to read that book. In August, I read two books. The first one was Transcendent Kingdom by Ya Gassi. This is actually a fictional book. It felt as if it was based off of a true story. So by the end of the book, I was quite confused whether it's based off of a true story or if it's just fictional, but apparently it's fictional. So the book is also about a Nigerian family that lives in America and the struggles that come with it, with the culture differences. The main character in the book is a girl who is what would say first generation in America, and there's just a lot of struggles and topics being discussed in the book, such as being immigrants, being a first generation child of an immigrant in America, living in America as a black person. There's also the topic of addiction and the struggles that families go through living with a loved one struggling with addiction. And yeah, there's a lot in the book, so it's quite interesting. I didn't want to put it down at some point, so it was a good book. The second book of August was Born a Crime by Trevor Noah, which is a memoir. So Trevor Noah is one of my most favorite comedians, and I was so intrigued to want to read this book and know more about him. Most of it, if you haven't even read the book, you are an avid fan of Trevor Noah and watch most of his videos and stand-up comedy. You know most of, I wouldn't say most of, but hints of what would be in the book, and it was very interesting also and eye-opening about living in a time where in South Africa there was segregation and all the racism that was happening then. So we normally hear of what happened in South Africa, but in the book you kind of relive the experiences through his experiences, and it becomes more real, and it kind of opens your eyes to what actually happened at that time. And specifically, being Trevor Noah was born literally a crime, just as the book title suggests. Being that he was a product of a black woman and a white man, which was illegal and not allowed at all at that time, to the extremes where his mother would deny him. Spoiler alert, I just spoiled the book for you, but his mother would go to an extent of denying him in public so that they wouldn't get into trouble for it or get reprimanded for it. But I'd say that's a very good book if you're a big fan of Trevor Noah, so definitely check that out. In September, I also read The Girl with a Louding Voice by Abidare, and I loved this book. I may not remember all the characters' names, but the main character, who is a young girl who's from a village in Nigeria, something happens in the village that makes that causes her to run away to the big city, where she sort of starts a new life there, to make her dreams come true. But there's a lot of things that happen in between her achieving her dreams, and there are people in the book come off as big roadblocks for her to get to where she wants to get to. So main topics in the book that I came across were, in most African countries, women or young girls are still struggling with that would be getting an education, being a second option to a parent, being that if you have a son, then he would be sent to school and the girl would otherwise be trained to be a wife from a very young age, and such kind of things. So come across in the book. So it's a very interesting book to read. And the fact that it says The Girl with a Louding Voice, the thing that I loved most about the main character is, despite all the struggles that she went through and the world literally trying to make her quiet and afraid and small, she still stood up for her dreams, and she used her voice to get to what she wanted and where she dreamed of getting to. And it's because of her louding voice that her dreams came true. So I would definitely recommend this book. The second book I read in September was Money Wise by Rina Karina Hicks, who is a Kenyan author, and this is an economic book based off of Kenyan economic world, if I'm using the correct terminology and words. But it basically teaches you where you need to invest and how to do it in a Kenyan based situation. So in the book she mentions several ways that you can utilize your money or save your money or invest your money, and she explains each and every way what it does and how that happens. So I'd really recommend, if you are on a journey to acquiring financial intelligence and building wealth for yourself. So I'd really recommend the book if you are in Kenya or in Africa, because many of the economic books that we come across or anything about money or investments, it's based off of the Western world, which doesn't really correlate with if you're in Kenya or Africa. It doesn't really talk about what you need to do while there. So this is one of the first books I'd say, because I haven't come across any other Kenyan or African based authored, mostly Kenyan because I'm from Kenya, Kenyan based books explaining the world of money market and money basically, and how to go about it. So I'd very much recommend the book. In October I read the book The Slippery Art of Book Reviewing by Maya Calvani and Anna K. Edwards. So based off of the title, it's just a guide to helping you write better book reviews, because once I rekindled my reading culture, which had been dead for a very long time, I felt the need to also review the books that I was reading through my blog, which is nuanced thoughts at wordpress.com. And I realized that I was venturing into a world where there have been people who have been doing this for years and years. There's a bit of a perfectionist in me that wanted to do it well and not just do it. So I got into books that would help me write better book reviews. And so one of them was A Slippery Art of Book Reviewing, which I read in October. And then in November I got into a second one, which was How to Write a Book Review by Sarah S. Davies. So those two books, I'd say they were very good guides on helping me how to get a step ahead into writing a better book review. Not so amateurish, I wouldn't say very professional, because there are people who've had masters in literature literally. So at least I'm not badly off as before, I'd say. So if you're into also doing book reviews, I'd recommend the two books. So in December, the last book of 2021 was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book was amazing. It was so interesting, so hard to put down, and it almost felt as if it was based off of a true story. And I was really begging at the end of the book for the author to tell us it's actually a true story, but unfortunately it's fiction. But a part of me still feels as if the book was actually, or is still actually, based off of someone. Or maybe the author just did such a good research behind the book, because I truly believe whatever happens in the book there's someone who has actually lived the book. There must be, because we have so many celebrities out here who've done like 10 or 8 marriages, and it's just a very good book. So the main character, as the book title suggests, is Evelyn Hugo, who clearly got married 7 times, and in the book it's fictional, but it's more of a biography kind of book, because in the book there's an author who not an author but a writer who's summoned by Evelyn Hugo to write her life story, and through that process we are taken along as Evelyn Hugo tells the writer what to write in the book. And in that case we go through each and every one of her 7 husbands, and there's a major topic of same-sex relationships in the book. And I would very much recommend the book. I'd recommend, if you're interested in any of the books, go ahead and read them. Then I'd very much like to know what you think in the comment section, if you've already read them, or if and when you read them. So thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. This also is a very inspiring woman. that I kind of get inspired by, because she is the because she's the person behind she inspired, because this chief producer, and one of the very they are very several they are, oh god, she's one of, and it's a eight sequel book. It's a sequel set.